So in our Twitter winter database, that's right, we have the user table and we have a tweet table. So in our user table, we have username and password. We're going to add an additional field here for image in a little bit here. And we're going to figure out sessions using this password stuff as well. So we can get you logged in and like authenticated here. So we'll go find, got our user class here, right? Not too bad here. We have the user model that goes and lets us connect in. So we can do some CRUD operations, add, update, delete, those sorts of things here. Now we also need a way to see, probably in the user model, right, whether or not we're going to log in correctly. So we've got this get users here. We could do another specific step here to get a single user, right, by username if we wanted, and then we can check the password, and that's probably the best route to go here. So we'll leave this table as is, and we'll go in here, we're going to add another method here. So public static. Now this one will just be a Boolean for what, login, maybe? Login given a string username and a string for password hash. Right? If we are given both of those things, then we can see whether or not we log in true or false, successfully or not. So we don't need this array list of users. We just need a single one here. So we'll go in and we'll set up our connection. And we'll set up a statement here. Now our select statement is going to be a little bit different here, right? We want to select from user, where username, right? I think it's username. We'll double check that. This is, yeah, username is equal to, and then the percent sign. So this is, we can't even execute, right? We need to do this as a prepared statement. Here we go. Let's do it this way. We'll do our subs in here. So we need the query. This is select. Now again, star was probably wrong here, right? What do we have here before? We had select. We were doing select star and getting everything out. It's probably better to be explicit there. So we want ID, username, and password from user. And then we're going to say where username equals and one substitution value. And, oh, okay, yeah, we don't need that statement. That's what it was. So now we don't need the user object. We just need the username. Or I guess we could even use the user object here. Why not? We'll take a user object with the username and password. We won't care about the ID here. We'll just do username and password. So we can get the username out for the substitution here. And then we need to get our results back out. Go down here again. So that's an update. Nope. So we want to, hey Sergio, how you doing today? Glad to have you along. Result set is what we get back from that execute. Here we go. Statement dot execute. We can execute the query. Just making sure you run the right one here. Prepare statement. Yeah, statement not just execute. Just execute. There we go. Just execute. Oh, awesome. Yeah, we're running some Java web development here. Oh goodness. Nope. What did we do wrong here? Prepared statement. Prepare the statement. Let's just be execute query. We'll get our result set back. Now there should only be a single result here, right? Because we should only have one of them. Results. Dot results. So we should only have one single result here because there should only be one user. So I think there's a, is there a way to count this? I'm trying to remember if there's a way to count this or not. Nope, count size, nope. What are we doing for that one to see if we get back one result? I just want to make sure we just get back a single user here. rather than 0. I think we can say if results is next here. If we have something here, otherwise we're going to return false. Like that user didn't exist here, essentially. So if no results, user doesn't exist. I tried to log in with a bad username. It won't even work here. Right? Then we can get this one out here as the username and password, and then we need to see if the password matches here. Right? So then we can say, hey, if the user.getPassword, and really this should be the password hash. I guess this is probably improper here. Again, be calling it password everywhere. But there'll be the password hash dot equals the password that we got from the database. So we're checking if the hash matches. And really, this, if we're going to return this as true or false, then we don't want to say if something's true, return true. We can just say return whether or not they equal. Wow, I got real upset. I have too many curly braces in here now. Try without a catch. I put in too many curly braces. That should be the F. Oh yeah, that's the ending one here. There we go. No wonder it lit up all red. Oh, very cool. Sounds like fun. And then we should actually close our results, close all that stuff. We have to do that either way, right? Because we'll never get to here if we're just returning. So I guess we can wait then. We'll wait on all of that, close all that out, and okay, so we need a string for password here. There we go. We can get the password. All right, so this, we still want to close all of our stuff here, so we should check first then. I guess we don't even need an else here, because if there is no result, then it won't ever match. Right, we're just going to say, okay, password is blank. That won't equal the password you gave me here, right, from the user's password that we passed in. It won't equal blank. It should be pretty good here. Now, it's possible they don't enter a password, and then there is no user returning true, and that would probably be bad as well. So we probably don't want to do that one either. So we could probably check here, then we can say, hey, if password.isEmpty, or it doesn't match. So we're going to say, hey, okay, so if password's still empty, this way we're still closing all of our statements here, which is closing out the connections and the results and all that stuff. So this is more proper here. So we'll say, okay, if we never set the password, if it's still blank here, oh, actually we want not empty, right? So not empty, and it matches. Oh goodness, that was backwards. All right, so if it is empty, that'll be false, or the whole thing will be false. But if it's not empty, that'll be true, and it matches will be true. So true and true should get us a good catch here. And if there's some sort of exception, sure, we're going to just return false as well. Yeah, this was kind of what we were trying to do here. Probably more work than it needed to be, going out and getting it from the database. Well, that's how to go make sure the user exists, right? If we have results, so you give me a good result, then we'll go check the password, make sure it matches, and then we can say whether or not we can log in. Here, so this is our little login method. So we can use this in our controller here then, a little Twitter controller. So we were checking for passwords, we're making a user, so we did list users, we had create user, we had an update user, a delete user, so we need a login button, right? So like create user is kind of like registering, right? Updating, like, hey, I want to go update my password, sure. And again, this is not ideal here when you just go update a user. By ID, this is not, you shouldn't be able to just say, hey, update this user's username and password. So this was not particularly ideal for user. This was just some illustration of doing some of these CRUD operations, because you'll need to be doing stuff in tweets. And if you, I think we were allowing users to update their tweets. I'm not remembering now. Yeah, is password correct? There we go. Just kind of pulled it out to its own one. Let's see. So we had being able to create an account and log in. So both creating and logging in. Your homepage has the list of tweets, those that you follow and their like count. You can view individual user tweets and follow and unfollow that user from their page, and we can create tweets including images. Okay, so no need to be able to update your password necessarily here. This is just creation and login, which is okay. That's a nice feature, but not anything we need to tackle this time. Oh, just a separate method? Yeah, just have its own is password correct method. Where do we even try this one here? It was in our user model. Just check if this password matches here as its own method. We could do that. So I gotta scratch my face and it's driving me crazy. All right, so let's give our project a run here. We're not doing anything with this yet. That's right, so we should go add our login here then. Right, so we're gonna list all the users. We're gonna have add, update, delete. We should have a login. So should we do that on the home page? On the users page? Maybe I'll just do it on the users page. Why not? We'll add a little table here. This is for, how about for login? So to log in, you'll give them a username and a password. And this will be login for our value. Call this login. So then in our controller, we need to look for that login action. Okay, so if the action is login, we don't need an ID parameter. Right? We need the username and password parameters. So we'll get these ones. And then if username is null or password is null, we'll give an error. Username or password is missing. Send them over to our error page. Then we'll try and do this login thing here. So to do the login, right, if we're using that user object, we'll make a user equals a new user. Again, we don't really care about the ID, but then we can give it the username and the password. But to get that password out, we want to do the hashing first. Right, so where do we get our hashed password that we stole this one from? We'll go get our hashed password. Using the hashed password here. Then we'll try and log in. We'll say, hey, if our user model dot login given the user, right, we should send them somewhere. And then how do we know that we're logged in? Right, we need to give them some information to know that they're logged in. So we can set something in the session here. So give me a second. Let me go pull this one up. Let me bring this up on the other screen here. Shamelessly copy off the last time. Oh, actually, I could do. Let's do fall 2021. Last semester we can do. And go grab this one here. I guess we can make this its whole controller too. That might be better. Just have a login controller for it instead of the main Twitter page. Let's do that. Let's add another controller here. I'm feeling bad about this. We'll add another controller. We'll add another servlet for login. Yes, we want to add that mapping. So our /login will be the login controller for us here. Here we go. And we'll take that off of our regular Twitter controller. And login here. We don't want to do any of this stuff here. Don't need any of that. We just want, we'll add in some, if our action is login. Oh, that exception page. Where do we get that one from? Oh, nice. Okay, so it imported those from our Twitter here. Probably be better to have those be somewhere else as another class here. So let's add another. Those could maybe be in login rather than everywhere else, but that's probably okay. Not too concerned. Where was our exception page? That was just a little helper here, right? Our exception page. So we can copy that one too if we want. That's, I'm feeling bad about having multiple methods here. Maybe it shouldn't be private. Send to an exception page. So we need to get the action here. The definition, like where we've got it defined in our, my goodness, our web XML. Here's our request. So if the action is login, then we'll do the login thing, right? Else, maybe then we'll just take them to a now we probably just want to include the login view. We're doing the same for posts and gets with our servlet methods here. Just a little, just grabs them and sends them to the same process request. Probably not ideal to also accept them as gets, but again, we're taking a couple of shortcuts because we just don't have tons of time to cover some of this. All right, so let's add another view here then. New JSP for login. There, in our login page, we can have the login form. There, I like that. That's gonna be a little nicer. Have a login page. Now here we probably also want an option for creating a user. And again, that would be nice and could send us over, do something with the user controller. But for now, we're, that little bit of reorganization can wait. Just want to try and get some functionality in here. So if there is no login, then, right, we're going to send them to we want to load that login JSP here. So we don't need to, it's our list users. Here we go. We'll just forward them. So we'll load the login JSP if it doesn't work, right? So if there is no action, right, then this is our default. So maybe we should do this one first here. So we'll say, how about if action equals null, then we'll send them here. Else if the action is login, then we'll try the login. This way we can catch the first case pretty quick, take them to the login page. Otherwise, then we'll check for logging in. And then if we're logged in, right, we want to redirect them here. Else, we want to send them essentially, I don't know if we want to even use that exception page or not. For now we can, it's probably fine. We can say our string for exception equals invalid username or password. How about that? We don't know exactly what it is. Oh goodness, it needs to be a full exception. It does, doesn't it? I just want to send them to a nice little error page. All right, that's fine. That's fine. We can just do that instead. Error. Send them to the error page. Give them the message. It was no good. And then if it was successful, right, if they did actually log in, right, how do we now go and set that they have been logged in? Right. So what we want to do here, I want to actually go and set that session for them. I want to say, let's take this is a request attribute. We want to set a session attribute. So I can say, hey, I want the HTTP session. So the session is the connection that we've established with our web server here. Say request.getSession. We'll get the session that's been established between the web server and the client. Yeah, add the import, please. And then our session, then we can set an attribute. We can say, okay, hey, the username is, let's take the username here, because we've successfully logged in. So the presence of this attribute then will indicate that we are successful and you've been logged in. Right, and then we can go send you somewhere. Again, probably like the Twitter page or something. And from there we can go and see who's actually logged in and do something based on your username and get other information about you here. And maybe you want your user ID, might be easier. But for now we can just do username. So you should be able to see if we're logged in here. Right, then we can go do something. And same idea like we had in our PHP, where we were checking to see if we were logged in and hiding certain things behind that, whether or not you've been logged in or not. We can look for this attribute to see whether or not you are logged in and redirect you back to login pages or not. So we can see, okay, maybe before we do any of this user's stuff here, again, we should have that create user. Okay, let's move that around then, I guess. So let's move around our create user here. So this will be, if we can actually make a user on the login page. So we'll have a login action, we'll have this, that's the else if. So if the action is, how about register maybe? Maybe register is better for username and password. If it's no good, we'll give you the error. Otherwise we'll try and do this, we'll try and add the user and then redirect you. Now we probably just want to go back to the login page at this point. Right, go back to the login controller. So we've registered and we'll send you on back. Maybe give them a message, but or actually when you create the user, you're probably already automatically logged in, right? So we can do that same thing. We can add that session attribute for you. We'll say, hey, where'd that go? Not the error. Where'd it go? This one here. Session attribute. There we go. So we'll grab the session attribute here. So after we create the user, then we'll add that attribute, say, okay, you've registered, and now we're going to redirect you back to Twitter. Right, so you've successfully created the user. If something failed, then maybe, we'd give you a message here. Otherwise, we'll create the account and you got logged in here. So on our login page, then we also need a register form. Right, so for username and password, this will be value, what we call it, register. So we're not differentiating between the two. In the servlet here, it would either hit our do-get processor or the do-post processor. So we don't really care at this point. We're not trying to differentiate between the two. It's probably not ideal. Maybe we just turn off a lot of the get stuff for now. Or if you're doing a get, maybe then all you get is the login page. And if you're posting, then other things can happen. For now, it's just easier to ignore those and say, let's just do the same thing no matter what. So try and log in. If it doesn't work, right, or if you didn't give me username and password, you get an error. If the model says, yes, you're correct, we'll add your username to the session attribute, and then we'll redirect you back to Twitter. Otherwise, you get another error. And then if you're going to register, was that our action, right? Was register here? We'll try and register a new account here. Go make that new user, send it on in, and then send you to the Twitter page because you've been registered. So I think we're in pretty good shape here for those. Let's see. Now, so then maybe our user model, then maybe we want to take that one out. If we don't want to have, I'm sorry, the users. Yeah, we don't need our... Oh, we're doing a bunch of silly things in the Twitter servlet right now because this was our only servlet here. This could probably be like a user's servlet, but this is fine for now. Yeah, we need to be changing some of this stuff here. I don't want to take too much of it out though, because we kind of had it around before. All right, but in here now, so if we want to say, if you're allowed to do something here, maybe we're allowed to list, right? But if we're not logged in, maybe we do nothing here, right? We can check. We can say, okay, let's get our HTTP session. Hi, Jeremy, I'm in class. Right, have fun. That's okay. So this is our request.getSession. And then we can, yes, add the import, please. Journey, will you close my door, please? Forgot to close my door. Oh, I spelled, that's too many S's for session. There we go. Now we get an import. Okay, good. We can import session. And then we can get attribute given for username. And this can be our string for username. Oh, and we have to cast it. Right? This is a string. So it doesn't know what type username is. So we have to cast it just like our other attributes. And then we can say, hey, if username equals null, maybe we bounce them back. We could just send a redirect right back to login here. Redirect right to login. Maybe not the cleanest thing. Might be nice to have a message here. Right, but that's okay. Right? Otherwise, then, sure, we can go do something else. Okay, so then else if, that's too many blank lines there. Okay, if our action is null, we'll assume it's list users, and then we can go, no, we don't even need that, I'm sorry. That's, yeah, we'll figure out what the action is here. So if it's null, it'll be list. Oh, why is this one upset? Oh, we already have a username. Shoot. What do we want to call this? How about session username? Here. And we can check. Okay. And let's give it a try. Sorry, let me go close my door real quick. All right, let's see if we can get logged in here. I think the password was test, if I remember right. It's been a little while since we tried it, like last week, right? Oops, not minimize. That one. There we go. Let's go to our Twitter. Uh-oh. Can't forward a response after it's been committed. Uh-oh. Process request line 45. Yeah, so we needed to bail. That's right. So after we send the redirect, we have to just stop. Yeah, and I kept trying to do more things. That's my mistake. And then we'll just say return. That'll just end. There we go. So okay, so we're back to login. Oh, we never changed that to registers. This is our login page. So this is, I don't know, register new account. Sure, why not? So let's try. I think I had Eric and test. Uh-oh, nope. Eric. Oh, I don't remember now. Let's see. What was, let's go look at the database. Yeah, oh, I had test and Eric. Let's try test and test. Maybe that'll do it for us here. Here, I can bring this tab over here. So we'll try test and test. Nothing. Still failing here. Okay. Well, let's put a breakpoint in and see what's going on here. So our login page is not... No, we're not sending it to the right place here, are we? Let's log in. Yep, we're sending it to the Twitter. So we gotta send this to login controller. There we go. Because now we were just in a big loop there. Let's try that one more time. So if we refresh our page now, hopefully test and test will get us logged in. And we can get to the Twitter page. So we know we're logged in here. And again, some sort of like top nav section would allow us to say, hey, welcome user. that sort of thing, like we were doing over in PHP. I don't want to have to duplicate all that for you and waste some of your time. So now we get logged in, and this page is essentially protected by login, right? And we could change some of that, right? We could have that, you know, instead of having to have this check everywhere, we could move this out and you know, share this among lots of pages like we were doing before with some sort of shared components and have this be a method. We got lots of options for that, for how we want to handle this. Right? Anytime we've got the same code in here twice, we're probably going to feel bad about ourselves. So that's not, maybe that's not ideal. All right, so why don't we move this over to, we got the login then. How about we make another controller here for profile. So we can manage our profile. We don't need to do any of this stuff. So to manage our profile then, we want to go get our user information, right? Assuming that we're logged in, and then we can display that, and then we'll add a chance for us to add an image here. So we'll have a new JSP for profile. And we, I don't know, we can just say h2 welcome. And then what do we have? Session username, I think. Let's see if that works for us. So profile then, we want to, just for now, we'll give them our I don't want to redirect. Where do we want to? There we go. Yeah, just one of these. Just forward them over. This will be our profile JSP. Let's just see if we can load our profile here. And then I guess we should do that same check to see if we're logged in or not. All right, and now we're going to have the same code twice, so I'm going to feel bad about it here. Oh, goodness. Okay. We need to get the session, do all the same sort of stuff here. So let's add, how do we do that in the login here? Let's pull all that out. And, oh, you know, because we need to always send them somewhere. It's kind of a bummer. I always want to send that redirect. We should be able to move this. Should be able to move this here. Go to login and have a public static void. I don't know, is logged in and redirect, or ensure logged in. I don't know, ensure user is logged in and redirect. So this needs a request then, an HTTP servlet request here, and I guess this is a Boolean. We're going to tell them true or false here. No, we don't even need to give them that here. So if is null, we can just return false, and so okay, at this point we can just say return session username does not equal null, right? If it, so not null is true, that's ensure they're logged in, is true. So this is just ensure they're logged in, I guess. How about that? Can we do this way? So we can just say, hey, if ensure is logged in, that's our login dot ensure user's logged in. So if not, we'll respond to return. There we go, extra curly brace. Still doesn't have a nice message, and you know, we could, maybe we should send a message in here. That's okay. So we'll add a message. We'll have a request.set attribute. How about a message, and we'll say, please log in, or you must log in. Let's log in to access this. I don't know. How about just you must log in? And we can do that on the login controller. We can look for a message attribute. So how about we have another h2 for just a message, just in case there's a message. So you should be able to bounce them back to that. Oh, that's right. That we do need that request. We need the request. So they can get that session out. We have to give them the request. That way they can get the session out, and then we'll set a message. I guess we should send that message. Let me put that in here. We only want to do that if it's false, though. Okay. I keep going back and forth. I'm sorry. This is fine. So we'll see. Okay, so if we're not logged in, we can do this. So we can do this check then on our profile page. There, that whole thing to see if we have our profile page. Otherwise, we'll send them to the profile page. And it doesn't have a lot of info, but then profile should be able to get that session username and display it here. Here's profile. So we need a link to profile then. So in our Twitter, here's that. Oh, that was the users JSP. Shoot, we need like the main list here. How do we get to profile? We want to do that. We need some sort of top nav, right? That's fine. Let's just see if we can get to it here. We'll try it. See if we can get to profile. So we'll try and log in first. Test and test. We're there. Great. So we should be able to go to /profile. Did I do a capital P? I think I did a capital P. Oh, it doesn't have my username though. Profile. Isn't it session username? Isn't that what we put in here? We did our login. Nope. We just said username. Just username. We did both times. Making sure. Just username. Okay, so it'll be just username. Username. Am I not logged in? Should be logged in. Let's try it one more time. Right, it was just username. Is that what we were setting on our login session? Set attribute username all lowercase. Oh my goodness. Casing is hard, friends. There we go. We'll try and get logged in. So do test and test. And then we want to go to /profile. And welcome test. All right, so we can get our username out. Woo! Finally got the username there. Right. Now we want to go see about adding an image here. That's the fun part here. So dealing with images is really fun. So this is kind of a mess here, unfortunately. So there's a couple things that have to happen. And what I want to do first is I want to add a controller here for upload. So I'm going to have a controller just for uploading images here. And then in this controller, we're going to do a bunch of things. So I'm going to sort of cheat on some of this here because I've copied this from someone else already. And I think we've got all of our citations here. We should be in pretty good shape. Let's try this. Okay, so import for part here. Okay, good. Add more exceptions. Come on, come on. Add the import. Oh, come on. Add the import. Yes, we got to start at the top. We already added the import for part. We did that. I must have made it cranky. Oh, did I copy in too many? Yeah, I did. I did. No? Input stream? Add import for input stream. Okay, got one. Really? Connection. Prepared statement. EV connection. All right, we confused it here. It's like slowly adding some imports. I think it's upset with our copy paste. Prepared statement, we're getting there. All right, we're not catching that. Sure, why not? That's fine. Part. Okay, let me just try a build here. See what it does when I try and build it. Oh, yes. Sure, clean and build. Saying it was compiled automatically. Okay, variable connection. Can't find symbol. Okay, so it's still unhappy with it. Let's see. Let's see. Connection. Add the import for connection. Java.sql.connection. Yes. I think we have the right number of curly braces. I didn't mess that one up, did I? No, it was looking good for a minute. So like that one. Add input stream, yes. All right, this is what I get for copy pasting. This is punishment for copy pasting. Come on. Clean and build again. Still, connection. That's fine. Should be fine. All right, let me take it all out again. Take it all out. That's fine. Just remove it all. All right, now is it happy? Now it's happy. Okay. Let's try copy pasting smaller bits here. So I need a helper method here first. That is going to extract the file name from the upload here. Then let's go copy paste this part here. And what are we going to do here? Okay, just get this part here. Okay, let me try this. Ah, there we go. Our database connection. Database connection. Get connection. Okay. All right, now it's happy. Now it's happy. I don't know what was up with that. Sorry. So, and then the other piece that has to go in here, we need to tell our servlet class here that it does a multi-part config, and we can have a really large file size here. So servlets by default don't like to handle big files. So we're saying, yes, I want to be able to accept large files here. Say, please, let's process large files because we need to upload images. So all of this comes from our stolen how to upload files to a database servlet, JSP MySQL that we found. The book, I think, it does a terrible job, and I don't know why they do it. I mean, I guess because it's easy is probably why they do it here. The book will take you through adding files and actually storing them as files on the web server, which is terrible. You don't want to store your files on a web server because if you ever have more than one web server, then you need to make sure you have the same file on multiple web servers, and that, you know, managing that is just nonsense. Where we have a database, and that database can store the images for us. So we want to store our images in a database here. So we're going to go and get the file that we're uploading here and try and find the file name of it with that little method here and get the input stream from that file. Then on our session, we're going to get our username here. We'll know what the username is, and then we're going to update. So this is the user table, and now we need to go and add something to our table here. So we have the user table, so we're going to add a field here for image and file name. So we need to go and add some fields here in our table. So we're going to go and we want to, oh my goodness. Add 2 columns after password. Columns we're going to add. So to deal with our images here, they need a, this is a blob data. So blob data is just a big old thing we're going to throw out there. I think we're okay. So we don't need a blob. Should get us, what size is that? Is that a couple megabytes worth of data, I believe? Long blob is huge, like up to 4 gigabytes. That's crazy here. We don't need that. So I think Yeah, I think blob will do it for us here. And we'll call this one the image here. Now what we want to do is this is allowed to be null. You don't have to have an image. So we're going to say this one is nullable here. And then we're going to have a varchar here. Probably, I don't know, like 100 is probably enough. You know, this is, sure, this will be the file name. So I'll say, okay, you can give me an image in blob data, which is just a way to store bits. We're just going to store the raw bits of that. There's no like type for image in here, right? There's like spatial things, JSON things. So blob is a way of storing something that is binary data, essentially. We're going to throw it into binary data. And then, oops, I'm sorry, file name should have been null as well. Oops, we got to change that one here. So it's okay if file name is null. So you might not have a file name, you might not have an image. So it's okay if those ones are null, which is good because we already have users here. So we need to give them null values here. So let's go edit that and put file name back to null. We'll go null that one back out. Just to make sure they start off as null for us here. Okay, so now those values are null. So you can go and upload an image, and we're going to update the users table. We're going to set the image to that something and a file name to that something. So, yeah, she logged in. And we're going to do it where the username matches. And that's the user who's logged in. So what we're going to set the blob as is the input stream. And this input stream that we're getting this from the file part here. So we're going to get that off the request here. It's just going to take that whole stream of data and store it. That's the blob that we're setting. So you can actually set blob here and set string for file name, set string for username, go run the update, and then we're going to throw you back to profile here. Right? And then profile will go out and show our profile. And if something bad happens, again, we could probably, are we getting that class not found exception? I don't remember if we are or not here. We're not here. So we could, again, do that sort of error message. So instead of just printing it, we could send you an error somewhere. It's probably nicer. Here's our sending you the error. Here we go. We'll just send you to the error page here. Okay. Exception to string. There, we'll try that. So I should be able to add an image here then. Oops, does it not get connection? Oh, I'm missing that other error there. I do need that one. That's a bummer. Class not found exception. What did I do? No, I don't want to declare it. Sorry. All right, I guess IO exception that we should throw. That must have been there before. And this one we want to catch, I guess. Add a catch clause, why not? We'll do the same thing. We don't want this logger. We'll send you an error, sure. Okay, as exception. All right, so we should be able to add an image then here with the upload side of the servlet. So our profile page then needs to have a form for us to use to upload. We'll grab that here. Where did I put that one here? Shoot, where did it go? Sorry, I'm trying to find where the form for this one's kind of annoying. There we go. So the form for this one will send us to /upload. Or is it just upload? I think just upload. And it has to specify that it's encoding it as a multi-part form data here. And then our input here can specify, hey, I only want to accept image types. Doesn't mean they can't send us something else, but it should only accept image types here. And we'll send that add a picture here. So we'll say, hey, how about add a picture? H3, upload an image, a profile picture. Okay, so we can go do that. And give that a little format. I don't think, do we need that div? I don't know if we need the div or not. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't think we do. I don't remember where I copied that one from. I don't have a note for that one. Okay, so we should be able to upload the image, but we don't have a way to display it yet. So the next thing we need is another controller here. We're going to make another servlet for, we'll call this the get image. And yes, we want to add this one in here. So then our get image controller. So this controller's job is to go and get the image out of the database and give it back to us. So we should be able to get the username out. Let's try this. Database connection, get connection. Yep, let's add some imports here. Add some imports. And yes, add a catch clause. I thought we had a catch clause. I think we do. Okay, it doesn't recognize the catch clause yet. Gotta add our import with the catch clause. Okay, and add an import for output stream. Add an import for response, result set. Add an import for blob. Okay. Whew. All right, so for all of this then, so we can send a request here for an image. Now in this case, we just say, okay, you tell me what username you want here, and I'm going to go select the image and the file name from my user table where the username equals the username. In a prepared statement, we'll set the username. So you can send me a username to this servlet, and I'll give you back the image. So to do that, we get the query. We'll go and get the blob data. We'll go get the file name here. And then we use this image bytes here. So blob.getBytes will give us the bytes of this here. And then we take all of those bytes here, and we're going to send it as the output stream. Write it directly to the output stream here from the response. So we're just essentially streaming back just the bytes of the image here. And then we're going to try and get the MIME type from the file name. So having the file, so this MIME type is like, what type of image is it here? So we should be able to get out all the bytes that we sent in, right? Because we're just storing them as binary data. So what we send in is just the bytes here of binary data. So what we're going to get back out is the bytes of binary data. And we'll just send it back here with this get image request, where we give it a username. So we should be able to get an image. So then on our profile page, if we have a username, we should be able to go and get that image back out as well. Go grab that one here. And we can get an image. Oops, we got to end that H2, don't we? No, not a comment. So we can add an image tag in here and say, okay, hey, go get image. Right, that's the controller get image. And the parameter username is the username. And we can give it widths and heights if we want to specify how big this thing should be. Because if you give me a really large image, it'd be really big. So this kind of forces it down to a certain size. Again, there's better ways to handle images. We're not too concerned about that at the moment here. We just want to try and get something that works. So if there is no image, we should get nothing back. Right? When we look at that get image here, if we get nothing back, then blob is just null. Right? There's just nothing. We get no bytes. And we'll get no image out. Okay? Should we try it? Let's see if it works. It probably won't. We'll see. Where's our Twitter page? Oh, come on. Where's the other? Do we have one here? Okay, there we go. Throw this one over here. Okay, so we eventually got to the profile. So we'll go to Twitter. We'll go log in, test and test. Okay, we're logged in. So now we can go to our profile controller. And it says welcome test. So there's no image now. I probably need to clean this up a little bit here because there's no image data, right? Server error when we got image here. So this was not the prettiest thing yet. We didn't have any sort of checking around any of that. But there's no image. So see if we can upload an image here then. Let's go upload a profile picture. Let's do my coffee one here. And we'll upload. Oh goodness, data is too large for image. Okay, so a blob was not the right size. My mistake. My mistake. So let's go back to our user table here. And user table here. Oh, I'm sorry, the structure. And let's go change this blob one here then. Let's edit that to be a, I think the medium blob ought to work. I don't think we need the long blob. I think a medium blob will be fine. Medium blob. Let's try it again. So we'll go back to profile. We'll choose our coffee is full. PNG, upload that one. All right, just a second. Thanks. And it uploaded. So we're able to get this username. So if I go to get image and username equals test, we get just the image back out, full size here. Now we're kind of stretching it. It's not the prettiest thing here, forcing it into a certain size. So we've got choices. We could just ignore any of that sizing if we wanted as well. All right, so we've got so login. We've got some sessions here now. We're doing pretty well with this idea. So again, this idea of uploading and looking for data, right? We can want to try and clean this up a little bit here, right? To have that be a little bit nicer than, hey, we're just going to be ugly if it's not there, right? Probably want something better than that, right? It's not the worst thing in the world here, but so like if let me go back to login. We'll log in with Eric and test. You should be logged in. We go to profile. Then it's just ugly, right? That there's nothing showing there. It's not the prettiest thing, right? I mean, it's not terrible here. I guess it's not too bad. We can log in there. What do you think? Is that okay? I probably want to clean that up a little bit here. So let's go see then in our controller. Let me go in here. What we could do with that. So maybe in our profile controller, we could look to see if there is an image, right? In our profile controller. We can see if there's an image first when we go and load our user. That could be a nice thing the profile controller checks for. We'll check our profile controller. If we're not logged in, great. If we are logged in, good. Well, let's go get some user information out. So right now, the user's controller, sorry, where is it here? Our user's model. We're only getting ID, username, and password from user. Right, so maybe we want some additional information here. Right, and maybe we need to go and change this user model. So I don't know if I want to be passing around the blob everywhere, but it might be nice if we have the string for the file name. File name, I think is what we called it. Is that all one word? Let's make sure we're consistent here with our spelling. File name, all lowercase. Okay, file name. That's probably ugly, but that's okay. Right, so let's add some gets and sets for those. We want to insert some code. Getters and setters for file name. Great. Here, so we got the user. Oh, we're not even a bean yet, right? We need to implement serializable, right? Serializable. There we go. And then we'll add in that string for file name. This file name equals the file name. Okay, but now adding that constructor is going to break all these other places where we don't necessarily need the file name. So we can add another constructor that doesn't use file name here. Then, and instead of having this whole thing twice, we can just call ourselves. We can say this with ID, username, password, and null. We can give it a null username, so it'll call the other constructor. Remember this back from Java? You can have multiple constructors. Now it looks a little happier. And then in our user model, now we can ask for file name from user. And, oops, that's the wrong one here. Oh, we don't even need the ID there, that's fine. And this one here. Oh yeah, selecting star from user. So we're going to get all those values back out. So we'll have a string for file name, results.getString of file name. We can give file name to the user list. Now again, this is probably a reason why it's bad to use star here, this wildcard, because we're asking for that blob data back, which is possibly large, and we're not doing anything with it, but that's probably okay. Not too big of a deal. So we can get that user out here, right? And we can get the individual file name. So we can check to see then on our profile controller. Maybe we want to add a way to get a single user here instead of getting all the users here. So maybe we have another way. Should we have an optional string like value for username? I don't know. Maybe we can just do a single username. Public static user get user, given a string for username. Username. Right. And we can do this where the username matches here. So sort of all of, I guess this one is probably better, right? That's what we were doing before. So we'll return a single user then, and we'll make that user. Here we don't need to add anything. So given the username, so we don't need the username back out here. And then, oh, we need that as a prepared statement. We need this prepared statement one. There we go. Statement.execute query. But we don't need to give it the query because we already gave it that one. So we want to select ID, username, password, file name from user where username matches here. Part of that query. And then statement dot set string index is 1 to username. Right, so we can substitute in the username, get it back out. We'll get ID, password, file name, make the user. And then really we can just return that user, or I guess probably better we'll say user equals null. So we start off as null. And then when we're done with all of this, we can return the user. So if we get back null, there is no user here. Oh, there it is. There's the return user. I missed it. So that needs to be outside the try, sorry. So maybe it's null, maybe it's not. So we can check to see. So in profile then, we can try and get the user. Right? So we'll say user equals user model dot get user, given the username, right? Because we know we have a username. That'll be off the session, right? Session.get attribute. Oh goodness. String for username is my session.get user, get attribute. Session. Oh, we have to get the session. Okay, that's right. So get the session first. So my HTTP session. Session is my request.get session. And then my string for username is the session.get attribute. Session. Okay, add an import, come on. Dot get attribute of username. Then we can get user given the username. Here, I'll cast it as a string. Then we have a user here. And now we can finally set, so now our request.set attribute, what do we want to call this? So this will be what, has image maybe? And then we'll set that to a true or false value. Right, we could say user.get image name, get file name. My goodness, file name, and actually, yeah, we'll just do that as file name, I guess. So file name here, file name. It's all lowercase, like we're doing, I guess. So we'll set the file name here then. Then in our profile, we can say, hey, if there's a file. So we can go back to some of our, where do we have some of those here? Our users? Yes, in here. So our tag library. So we'll add our cool little tag library here. And we can test, right? We can say see if? No. C colon. I thought it was it if? Is it just if? I don't remember now. So this is file name. Oh my goodness. I know we did these CFs here, and I'm forgetting the syntax for it. Let's go look it up real quick. 454. I know we've used these ones. There we go. Oh. Journey, close my door, please. All right. No? We did these, didn't we? Did we not do them in here? In Java. Actually, I want the JSP. There we go. Java server pages. Aha! There's the if. Okay. If test equals, there we go. We could do something. So if test equals the $name attribute here, file name dot equals, what's our test for it here? I want to say if it equals nothing, file name. Oh, we put that all inside of our equals ignore case, or is empty, I guess. Is empty. So if it's empty, we don't want to do it, right? Otherwise, we do. I guess. Okay, that's a little funny. So we want not is empty for our test. And then the if, no, we missed it. We missed it. Test, quotes. Oh, there's no ending. There we go. We'll test if the file name is not empty, then we should be able to go do this. Let's give it a try. See if we can get that file name out. We'll log in. So let's do Eric and test, because Eric didn't have an image right in our profile. Oh, it's still loading. I think our test here is wrong. File name is null. Equals null. If not, file name is null. Is that? Not sure we can actually do the tests like that. Let's see. So that's just in our JSP, so it should be able to refresh here. We need to refresh it. There we go. All right, so we just had to get the right syntax here. So we're testing if the file name is not null. Here we go, does not equal null. There we go, that's even better. Not equals null, not equal null. Make sure that one's good. So it should test. That's good, and then we'll log back in. We'll log in as test and test, and we should have our profile picture. Profile. There we go, and we get our profile picture. And we can upload a picture or not. So we should be able to change it too. If we want, we can change and upload a different one. Maybe do a slightly smaller one, upload that one. Oh, now it's resizing it larger. Here, oops. Because we're forced to that size in there. That's a bummer. We'll go back to the full size one. That looks much nicer. Much prettier. Okay, so if we can add images then in a table, we can go and see whether or not they have a file name. It's probably a nice way to check for that. So if you're adding an image to your tweet table, right, as some sort of medium blob and a file name, they're nullable. You don't have to have images with tweets, but you can have images with tweets. Now, it probably would be easier if we just attached the whole user attribute, or the whole user class here, instead of having to do all this separate file name. Then we could do like username and all those sorts of things here. might be a little bit nicer here, but dealing with that as an image is kind of obnoxious. So doing the image processing outside of that is kind of handy as well. So, and I will warn you, there's no security around this at the moment. So our get image servlet is just giving images no matter what, which is, I mean, for something like Twitter, images are probably public, that's fine. But if you do remember, our fine friends at Parler, are they still a thing? Do they even exist anymore? That was like such big news for a while. That's still around? It is around. They had a, quote, super cool feature where you could get yourself marked as a verified citizen, because that was very important to their business model, apparently. The problem was the images that you uploaded, like, hey, here's a picture of my driver's license, because, sure, were stored in the same manner in that, hey, you could ask for an image back out, and if you asked for an image and then you happen to use the ID that was associated with that image of someone's driver's license, they would give it to you. So they weren't storing those in a separate manner here, which is really, really bad. So we're taking some shortcuts here, and I'm going to feel a little bit bad about not securing any of this and saying, okay, all images are public. But in Twitter land, like, all of your images are public, right? That's how that works. But only for the Twitter images, right? You shouldn't also be serving stuff off of other locations. So, right, we're serving profile images here on our get image, not just a table full of images that anything can show up in there. So you want to be a little bit cautious on how you handle some of that stuff. Okay? So how are you folks feeling? Do you feel like you'll be ready to get this tackled and we can finish out our Twitter project? Again, not quite yet. We got 2 more weeks now to get this done as our final project here. So being able to make accounts, create accounts, and log in, we're pretty close to that already, right, from this Twitter Star project. So if you've been following along, you should be able to make accounts and log in here. Right? We've gotten that. The homepage lists the tweets of those that they follow, including the like counts. We don't have that. So what we need then is a way to track who follows who. So we can add another table here. And let's go create a table. We'll call this the, I don't know, how about following table? And we only need 2 columns here. So we need the followed by user ID, and we need the following user ID. So followed by is who is doing the following. Following user ID is who's being followed. Okay, and both of these then will become the, I guess we can, I'm sorry, we could just add one more. I gotta add one more column here now. I'm feeling bad. One more column. We'll do one more that's just an ID to auto increment, just to make life easy for us here, because it's always nice to have that auto increment primary key. If you've done anything with databases, you could use this combination as the primary key of 2 different fields. It's fine. I'm not too concerned here. So for the following table then, right, when you go to follow a user, you'll take your user ID, put that in the followed by user ID field, and you'll take the user's page that you're looking at, and you'll put their following user ID in that field. Right? And then what we can do with our SQL, we can say, okay, let's select star from, actually, let's just get, I want to select my following user ID from following, where my followed by user ID equals your user ID here. And this will get you the list of all the users that user 1 follows. Again, there's nothing in here right now because we don't have any data. So we could say, hey, test will follow test. You can follow yourself, right? Why not? And then we'll say, hey, how about test will follow Eric? Okay. And then we go back and do our SQL. And we can do select the following user ID from following, where the followed by user ID is 1. So give me all the people that user 1 follows, and you get, okay, you follow user 1, you follow user 2. So then you need to get out the tweets for those users. Again, that's probably, if you haven't done anything with databases, harder than it needs to be. So the easier route is once we have a tweet model here, Like we have a user model that can just get users. Here, where's our get users here? Get all the users. Now, this is not how we do it in real life, but again, we haven't done databases, so it's okay. If you're in your tweet model, you can get an array list of tweets. You can loop through all of those and look at that tweet ID. So in our tweet table, right, we had the user ID. So you'd say, okay, if the user ID is one of the values in your list of users that you follow, right? So for every tweet, we need to loop through every single tweet and see, hey, is the user ID in that list of users that you follow? If it is, we'll include it. If it's not, we throw it away, right? So you can get all the tweets out and then filter them down. It's not great, but again, we haven't done database stuff, so don't worry about trying to filter those out in database land. It's probably not worth the trouble, okay? Because building that query out would be kind of obnoxious to have to do that. Now, you can if you want. So I'll show you here. So do we have any tweets? Okay, we user ID is 1 here, so that's fine. So we'll write some SQL. So the other thing you can do with databases is you can query across tables. So I can say, hey, let's select tweet dot, I want the text here. I don't know, let's just do star. Tweet dot star from tweet. And then we're going to say, we're going to inner join following on following dot following user ID equals the tweet dot user ID. Inner join, actually I don't even need another inner join from here. And we'll say where the following dot followed by user ID equals some user here. So this will take the tweet table and at the database level, join them together here and say, okay, where the following user ID matches the user ID of the tweet, let's join those rows together. And then we're going to restrict it where the following by followed ID is number 1. This will give me just the tweets out of people who are followed by user number 1. So if I go in here and I write another tweet, let me go open another tab here, and we insert some data. Let's insert a tweet by let's make a new user first. Sorry. So let's make a new user. Insert user 3. This is test 2. And I'll worry about the password and stuff later. Just want to have a user in here. Okay. So now we have a user, which is test 2. So make a tweet by user ID 3. So our test tweet from user 2 or test 2. User ID then will be 3, which is test 2. Now we've got some data. So I have 2 tweets, one tweet by user ID 1, one tweet by user ID 3. When I run my query here again, I'm only getting the tweets out where the user ID matches the following user ID from the following table, where the followed by user is user 1. So let me refresh that, so rerun it here. And notice we don't get that other tweet. We're only getting the tweets out. So if you want, you can do this at the SQL level here. So I'll copy this into our Discord here. That's the wrong Discord channel. Let's see. Let me put this one in ours. Let's do this. So that here's a... Okay, so I pasted that into our class Discord channel. If you want that query there. Again, either way is okay. I'm not expecting you to do this level here. If you want to do it the easy route, just get all the tweets and then go limit them. You know, maybe you think that's harder because this way you're only getting the right ones here. So you got some options. Then you can make this ID value be like some sort of arguments. You can say get tweets for following by user ID. Right? This could be a method that you're writing here to get all those tweets. Okay, and then the tweet also needs then to have the like count. So we need another attribute here that's going to have the number of likes. Now, we don't need to be able to, don't worry about having a unlike button and a like button. So just have a like button. And every time you like the tweet, increase that count by 1. So if you are a diehard fan of somebody and you want to like their tweet 1,000 times to give them 1,000 likes on their tweet, we're going to let you do it. We're not going to try and restrict that to another way of likes. You could do it with another table. And you can have the user ID, and then you can have the tweet ID, and you could insert a like. But I think that's probably more trouble than it's worth at this point here versus just having a simple like count here. Okay, so the count of likes, so when you see a tweet, you can like it. So we're going to add a button to like a tweet here. Oh, it does say unlike. Shoot. Don't worry about the unlike here. Just add a button to like a tweet. Okay, I think that's probably easier if we just do the likes and display the count of likes here. So that should be a value in the database. And you don't need it to update it. So when I click the like button, if you wanted to reload the page, great. If you don't want it to reload the page, that's okay. You don't need to see it necessarily changing dynamically. Again, trying to keep it relatively simple-ish here. There's a lot to do for sure, a lot to tackle dealing with all these things here. So getting the list of all those that we follow. If we want to go to individual users page, we should be able to see the tweets just from that user, and from there we can follow or unfollow them. So this one, to unfollow somebody, right, we would then go remove that row from the database we just added here. Right, so we just added that following table. You would just go remove from this table, right? You would delete from where the followed by user ID and the following user ID. You'd have to delete where they both match. Right, so right now, or you could take the ID. That's probably a little trickier to grab that individual ID out. Okay, but like some of our deletes here, like when we did a user delete, there's a users model. To delete a user, we said we were going to delete from where user ID equals something. You could just add a second comma, another value, like, so just like we said, hey, set username equals something, comma something. Say where ID equals and. So in our query then, so let's go add one more like here. And we'll add one for like and following user 3. And then if I go run that query again, right, I should see, oh no, that's fine. So if we wanted to delete here, we can say delete from following, where following by user ID equals 1, following user ID equals 3. Oh, is it and? I think it's and. I think, yeah, we use and. So you can delete where they match. And it deleted the row. Now if we go look at our data again, we just have the 2 back. Right, so I'll put that one in the Discord as well, for some examples for that. But let me add it back in real quick. I want to show you. So if 1 follows 3, and then we rerun that query, where we got all the tweets, now 3 will show up because they're in there. Now we'll see the tweet from 3. Because we've limited it to just people that we like. That's what this join does for you. Again, it's a whole database class. I wish we had more time for it because databases are amazing. But I think that gets us in pretty good shape for that one. Okay, how else are we doing? So we can delete, then we can create tweets, including images. We're inserting into the tweet table. If you have an image, great. If it's null, it's null. No big deal. And we go from there, okay? All right, I think we're good to call it a night then. If there's anything else I could do for you folks, let me know. You know, I'm super excited when we get to final project presentations and everyone gets 100%. That is a great end of the semester. If you're struggling on something, you've got to let me know so I can help get you pointed in the right direction. We only have 2 weeks left, right, out of the total that we've had. So should definitely have some progress in working towards getting these things done. So let me know if you're getting stuck on anything. Happy to jump on a screen share and help you out and see where we can go from there, okay? All right, folks, you take care. Let me know what I can do for you.